Remember the promise: no new wars. The peace era. But since returning to office, Donald Trump has approved or expanded US strikes in at least 7 countries: Iran, Iraq, Nigeria, Somalia, Syria, Yemen, and Venezuela. 7. Not bad for a peacetime president brand. Maybe it is not peacetime. Maybe it is just strike time, with better marketing. Welcome to ANTV, AI Network TV. Here you get AI stories, documentaries, comedy and shorts. Big visuals, simple narration, and ideas that move fast. One day, it is the beauty of the universe. Next day, it is nature at maximum power. Then a funny twist, a wild montage, or a quick idea that hits. If you like creative content that is different, hit subscribe. You are early. Let's build this network together.
AI Network TV, welcome to the future of knowledge. AI Network TV, every video and tech to digital trends. Subscribe now and unlock the next chapter. Knowledge powered by artificial intelligence.
Earth is the only world we know that is alive. Until proven otherwise, it is the only place in the universe where the ocean is filled with motion, where forests breathe, where the air carries wings, and where life looks back at you. That fact should hit harder than it does. Because when you watch wildlife, you are not just watching animals. You are watching a miracle that has been running for billions of years without applause. Every creature is a solution. A solution to cold. A solution to heat. A solution to speed, pressure, distance, darkness, hunger, and time. Look at the shapes. Fur that insulates like a living coat. Feathers layered like engineered panels. Scales like armor. Skin that changes color. Eyes built for night. Bodies built to dive deeper than most humans will ever go. Even the smallest life carries a kind of genius. Not genius like a test score. Genius like survival. And the beauty of wildlife is not just how it looks. It is how it moves. A school of fish turning like one mind. A bird riding wind you cannot see. A predator freezing into silence. A herd shifting direction like a single wave. It is choreography written by instinct. And it is happening everywhere, all the time. But what makes Earth truly special is diversity. Not one kind of life, but millions. In oceans, deserts, mountains, rainforests, rivers, and skies. Life filling every corner it can reach, then inventing new ways to reach further. Some creatures glow in darkness. Some hear vibrations in the ground. Some navigate by the stars. Some feel electric fields. Some can taste the air. If you stepped back far enough, this planet would look like a blue marble. You would not see the coral reefs. You would not see the migrations. You would not see the nests, the dens, the burrows, the rituals, the dances. But it is all here. Which is why the real question is not, is wildlife beautiful? The real question is, how often do we forget how rare this might be? Because we talk about life in the universe like it is guaranteed. Like it is just a numbers game. Maybe it is. Maybe the universe is full of living worlds. But until we meet them, Earth is the only proof we have. The only confirmed living planet. The only place where life turned into songbirds and whales and butterflies and ancient forests. The only place where the universe learned how to see itself through the eyes of a living creature. And that should change how we treat it. Not with guilt, with awareness. Because awareness is what creates respect. And respect is what creates protection. Wildlife does not exist for our entertainment. It does not exist to decorate our feeds. It exists because it belongs here. Because it is part of the system that keeps this world functioning. Forests stabilize the air and the water. Oceans regulate climate and carry food webs. Pollinators keep plants alive. Predators keep ecosystems balanced. Even creatures we barely notice are doing work that keeps the planet stable. Life is not just beautiful. It is useful. But there is a deeper point. Wildlife is also a library. Every species is a book written by time. A record of what worked. A record of what survived. A record of solutions we may never rediscover if they disappear. And when a species vanishes, it is not just sad. It is permanent. You cannot rewind an extinction. You cannot rebuild a living history once it is gone. That is why the beauty of wildlife is not soft. It is urgent. Not urgent like panic. Urgent like value. The way you hold something carefully when you realize it is irreplaceable. Because Earth has done something that might be unbelievably rare. It took chemistry and turned it into birdsong. It took sunlight and turned it into coral cities. It took time and turned it into minds, instincts, families, migrations, and memory. And we are part of that story too. We are not separate from nature. We are nature with tools. We carry the same old instincts. The same hunger, fear, curiosity, love, and survival. The difference is we have power now. The kind of power that can protect or destroy at scale. So the goal is not to save the planet like it is helpless. The planet will be here in some form. The real goal is to protect the living world. To protect the fragile miracle of biodiversity. To protect the one place we know for sure is alive. Because if Earth is one of a kind, then every species matters more than we can easily measure. And even if Earth is not one of a kind, even if life is everywhere, it still does not make this life disposable. This wildlife is here, now, in our lifetime. So watch it like it matters, because it does. Watch the elegance in a wing beat. Watch the confidence in a creature that belongs exactly where it is. Watch the wildness that refuses to be controlled. And let that do something to you. Let it remind you that beauty is not just decoration. It is evidence. Evidence that life can flourish. Evidence that the world is more than human problems. Evidence that we are living inside something rare. Until proven otherwise, Earth is the one confirmed miracle. A living planet. A world full of creatures that did not ask to be born, but learned to survive anyway. A planet that turned chaos into ecosystems, and ecosystems into beauty. And the least we can do is notice. The second least we can do is respect it. And the best thing we can do is protect it. Because if this is one of a kind, it is worth everything.
This ends now. Let the storm come.
Most people think of weather as background noise. Something you check in the morning, complain about, and forget. But extreme weather is the planet reminding us who is in charge. Nature does not negotiate. Nature does not care about your schedule. And when the conditions line up, the sky can turn into raw power. This is the story of extreme weather. Not as fear, but as awe. Because when you understand what you are seeing, it becomes even more beautiful. Start with the simplest kind of power. Wind. You cannot see it, but you can watch it move the world. A breeze can cool your skin, but a storm can shove oceans, bend trees, and erase the shape of a coastline. A hurricane is not just a big storm. It is a heat engine. Warm ocean water evaporates, rises, and releases energy as it condenses, feeding the system again and again like a giant spinning battery. From above, hurricanes look almost artistic. Perfect spirals. Cloud bands like brushstrokes. But inside that beauty is force. The kind that can lift roofs, flood cities, and turn roads into rivers. Then there are tornadoes. Tornadoes feel like the universe flexing for no reason. A rotating column of air drops from the sky like a drill, and suddenly the world is being rearranged in seconds. What makes tornadoes so terrifying is how focused they are. A hurricane is huge and loud and arrives with warning. A tornado can be a narrow path of chaos that hits one neighborhood and misses the next street completely. Lightning is a different kind of power. It is not wind. It is not water. It is the sky trying to balance an electric argument. Storm clouds build charge like a giant battery. And when the difference becomes too great, the air breaks. A lightning bolt rips through the atmosphere, and for a brief moment, the world is brighter than daylight. Lightning is beautiful because it is instant. You see it, and your brain barely has time to react. Then the thunder arrives like a delayed reminder that the sound is the shadow of the light. Now look at water. Water is gentle in a glass. But in nature, Water is a sculptor with infinite patience and sudden rage. Floods are not just rain. Floods are the sky refusing to stop. Rivers swell, the ground gives up, and entire landscapes turn into moving sheets of power. And it is not always a single storm that causes it. Sometimes it is repeated rain, day after day, building pressure until the smallest creek becomes a monster. Sometimes it is a wall of rain that drops so fast the city cannot breathe. There are storms that look like they are poured from a bucket. Rain so heavy it becomes a curtain. Cars crawl, streetlights blur, and the sound becomes the whole world. Then there is snow, which feels peaceful until it becomes extreme. Blizzards can erase distance. The wind lifts snow into the air until the horizon disappears and the world becomes a white tunnel. Extreme cold does something strange to everything. It makes metal shrink. It makes breath visible. It turns ordinary life into a survival challenge built out of minutes. But even in blizzards, there is beauty. Snow swirling under streetlights looks like a galaxy. Ice crystals glitter like broken stars. Heat is another form of extreme weather that people underestimate. Because heat does not look dramatic the way storms do. It is invisible pressure on the body, the land, the grid, and the air itself. Heat waves can warp the world in slow motion. The air shimmers, the ground cracks, forests dry out, and the smallest spark becomes a problem. It is quiet power. The kind you notice only when it has already changed things. And that leads to fire. Wildfires are not just flames. They are weather. When fires get large enough, they create their own winds. They pull in air like a living thing, feeding themselves. Smoke forms towering columns, turning daylight into orange twilight. Fire is terrifying, but also hypnotic. The movement, the glow, the way it eats the landscape with a kind of purpose. It reminds you that the planet has reset buttons built into the ecosystem, and sometimes those buttons get pressed. Now step back and notice the pattern. Extreme weather is rarely one element. It is systems colliding. Wind plus water, heat plus dryness, cold plus moisture, ocean currents and pressure zones, mountains shaping storms, cities trapping heat. Everything is connected like gears in a machine you can feel but never fully control. That is why nature power is the perfect phrase. Because nature is not performing, it is operating. The atmosphere is a living ocean of air. The planet is constantly balancing energy between equator and poles, ocean and sky, day and night. Storms are not glitches. They are the system doing its job, just sometimes doing it at maximum volume. There is also something deeply human about watching extreme weather. It scares us, but it also pulls us in. Because it is real. A hurricane does not check your status. It is honest. It is bigger than ego. A storm does not care who you are. Lightning does not ask permission. And maybe that is why it feels so powerful to watch. In a world full of opinions, extreme weather is pure fact. You either respect it or you learn the lesson the hard way. And every time you watch it, you are seeing the planet alive. Not as scenery, as power.
Welcome to AI Network TV. Today's top story. Reality is no longer what it seems. Follow us into the future. The truth is...
War is often sold like a storm. Sudden, unavoidable, a force of nature. But war is not weather. War is a machine. It has inputs, outputs, fuel and maintenance. It runs on fear and pride, money and momentum. It runs because it can produce results quickly, even if the consequences last for generations. And if you want to understand why war keeps returning, you do not start with the battlefield. You start with the system behind it. Chapter 1. The shortcut war. Keeps showing up because it feels like a shortcut. Diplomacy is slow. Negotiation is frustrating. Compromise looks like weakness. But war can take territory, resources, and attention in one move. It can redraw maps, control trade routes, dominate headlines, and force decisions. Even when war fails, it still shifts the world. It still consumes the calendar. It still becomes the story everyone must respond to. That is why it is tempting. Not because it is good, because it is fast. Chapter 2. Fear is fuel. The first fuel of the war machine is fear. Fear makes people accept things they would normally reject. Fear makes the unthinkable feel necessary. Fear makes later feel like too late. Fear does something else. It simplifies the world. Complex conflicts become simple. Two sides, one threat, one solution. And once people believe they are in danger, they will tolerate almost anything in the name of safety. That is one reason war returns so easily. Fear is renewable. Chapter 3. Pride turns fear into fire. Fear alone does not always start wars. Pride finishes the job. Pride says we cannot back down. Pride says we cannot lose face. Pride says we must respond, not because it is wise, but because it is expected. Pride turns nations into identities, and identities do not like compromise. When pride is on the line, a small incident can become a big moment. A spark becomes a symbol. A symbol becomes a demand. A demand becomes a deadline. And deadlines are the heartbeat of war. Chapter 4. Propaganda is the control panel. Then comes the control panel. Propaganda. Propaganda is not always posters and speeches. Sometimes it is what is left out. Sometimes it is repetition. Sometimes it is the same story told so many times that it becomes the only story people can see. Propaganda does three things. First, it makes the enemy feel less human. Second, it makes sacrifice feel noble. Third, it makes doubt feel like betrayal. When those three are active, the machine runs smoothly. People will fight for ideas they did not choose because they believe the idea chose them. And once the story becomes sacred, facts become optional. Chapter 5. The logistics you never see. If war were only explosions, most wars would end quickly. But war is not mostly explosions. War is logistics. Fuel, food, medicine, spare parts, batteries, boots, tires, radios, trucks, ships, planes, routes, warehouses, schedules, repairs. The modern war machine is built on supply chains. A jet is not a jet. It is a flying demand for maintenance. A tank is not a tank. It is a rolling appetite for fuel and parts. A soldier is not just a soldier. A soldier is a network of training, transport, support, and resupply. And this is where the machine becomes hard to stop. Because once a system is moving, stopping it means admitting waste. And humans hate admitting waste. Chapter 6. Money and momentum. War is expensive in money, but it is also expensive in momentum. When huge systems spin up, they create pressure to justify themselves. Budgets get locked in. Contracts get signed. Factories get busy. Careers get built. Then the war machine starts producing its own gravity. Even people who hate war can get trapped inside it, because they inherit it already in motion. And when the machine is moving, every decision is made under urgency. Urgency is a persuasive drug. It convinces leaders they do not have time to be careful. Chapter 7. The media engine. Now add modern media. War does not just happen on the ground. It happens on screens. Footage becomes narrative. Narrative becomes emotion. Emotion becomes pressure. Pressure becomes policy. War is a content machine, and that is a dangerous thing. Because content rewards intensity. Nuance does not go viral. Anger travels faster. Fear travels fastest. And when a conflict becomes a constant stream, people stop asking what it costs. They start asking who is winning. That is the point where war becomes entertainment by accident. Chapter 8. The human cost that never fits in headlines. The machine does not pay the price. People do. The people who start wars rarely fight them. The people who fight them rarely wanted them. And the cost is not just the moment of conflict. The cost is what comes after. Trauma that does not show up in a uniform. families that never return to normal, cities that need years, sometimes decades to rebuild. And even when the rebuilding happens, the memory stays. The war machine can turn on quickly, but turning it off is slow. Chapter 9. The bill comes due. War borrows from the future. It spends stability. It spends trust. It spends generations. Children inherit stories they did not write. They inherit borders they did not draw. They inherit consequences they did not vote for. That is why the end of a war is rarely the end. It is often just the end of one phase. Because war changes people. It trains minds for suspicion. It teaches that force works. And once a society learns that lesson, it can take a long time to unlearn it. Chapter 10. Why peace is harder. War is a decision you can make fast. Peace is a system you must maintain. Peace requires patience when you feel angry. It requires restraint when you feel threatened. It requires leaders who can absorb criticism without converting it into revenge. Peace requires institutions that people trust. It requires communication that does not turn every disagreement into a crisis. And peace has a problem that war does not. Peace is quiet. Peace does not always look heroic. Peace looks like meetings. Peace looks like compromise. Peace looks like people choosing not to escalate even when they could. That is why peace is harder than war. Not because peace is weak, because peace demands control. Chapter 11. The exit ramp. If war is a machine, then it can be slowed. Not easily, not perfectly, but intentionally. You slow it by reducing fear, by refusing dehumanization, by demanding evidence when narratives get too clean. You slow it by paying attention to incentives. Who benefits from escalation? Who profits from urgency? Who gets power from panic? You slow it by remembering the hidden truth. Most people do not want war. They want safety. They want dignity. They want a future. And when enough people insist on that future, the machine loses a little power. Closing war will always try to return, because it offers speed. It offers certainty. It offers a simple story. But the bill is never simple, and it is never paid by the people who sold the story. If we want fewer wars, we have to stop treating war like weather, and start recognizing it for what it is: a machine. And machines do not stop themselves. War keeps showing up because it solves problems fast, even when it makes the future worse. It grabs territory, resources, and attention in one move. Add fear, pride, and propaganda, and people will fight for ideas they did not choose. Then the bill comes due for generations. That is why peace is harder than war. Look up at the night sky long enough, and something weird happens. Your problems do not disappear, but they shrink. Not because they do not matter, but because the universe is so much bigger than the story you were stuck inside. The beauty of the universe is not just that it is pretty. It is that it is alive with patterns, motion, and time on a scale our brains were never designed to hold. Start with the simplest miracle: light. The light from a star is a message that can travel for hundreds, thousands, even millions of years before it touches your eyes. That means when you look up, you are not seeing the sky as it is. You are seeing the sky as it was. You are literally looking into history. Some stars you see have already changed, and some are gone. But their light is still crossing the dark, still arriving, still finishing a journey that began before humans ever built cities or wrote stories. And then there is the silence between the stars. Space looks empty, but it is filled with dust, with gas, with invisible fields, with particles that pass through you every second, like the universe is breathing through your body. You are not separate from it. You are inside it. Now zoom out. Our planet is one small world orbiting an ordinary star. That sounds like it should make life feel small, but it does the opposite. Because on this small rock, the universe learned how to see itself. You are made of atoms that were forged in ancient stars. Long before the Earth formed, stars lived and died. and in their final moments they created heavier elements, then scattered them into space. Those elements became new stars, new planets, and eventually, you. You are not just in the universe. You are from it. Beauty is also in the shapes. Galaxies spiral like pinwheels. Nebulae bloom like cosmic flowers. Rings of dust form around newborn stars. Worlds gather into systems. Systems gather into galaxies. Galaxies gather into clusters. And clusters trace filaments like a web across the cosmos. Even chaos has structure. Gravity is the sculptor, pulling matter into curves and storms and glowing oceans of gas. The universe looks wild, but it is held together by rules that never stop working. And time. Time is part of the beauty too. The universe is not a painting. It is a movie. Stars ignite, expand, fade, explode. New stars form from old ashes. Planets collide. Comets swing by like visitors. Everything is moving, always, even if it looks still. Somewhere out there, right now, a star is being born. A cloud collapses, heat rises, pressure climbs, and suddenly a new light turns on in the dark. Somewhere else, a star is dying, releasing one final burst that can outshine an entire galaxy for a moment. And on our own world, under that same sky, you have this tiny window of consciousness. A few decades where you can look up and feel awe. A few decades where you can say, I am here, and I can understand a little of what this is. That awe is not weakness. It is strength. It reminds you that life is rare and precious, that your time matters, that kindness matters, that curiosity matters. Because in a universe this vast, the fact that you can love and learn and create it all is unbelievable. So the next time you feel trapped in noise, try this. Step outside. Find a patch of darkness. Let your eyes adjust. And look up. Somewhere in that glittering field is the light of a star older than the earth. Somewhere is a world you will never touch. Somewhere is a story still unfolding without you. Yet, here you are. A creature made of stardust, standing on a spinning planet, watching